With the NX500, Honda is launching a successor to the successful CB500X. The new model now has a modern cockpit as well as traction control. Tanya and Dietmar found out where the strengths and weaknesses of the Honda NX500 lie during an extensive test drive. Basically, the NX500 is still a good-natured all-rounder that positions itself somewhere between an adventure bike and a crossover. The machine has 48 horsepower, so it is A2 capable and actually looks exactly as it drives, fluffy and not too ostentatious, somehow a machine for everyone. The NX500 costs €8,090 including the overpass and is already well equipped as standard. It is available in 3 colors, white, black, and red. The seat test reveals no great surprises, as does the whole machine itself. By the way, you sit comfortably upright, the moderately wide handlebars fall into your hands as if by themselves, and the seat height of 830mm also fits the restrained appearance of the NX500. Even smaller people should get their feet on the ground well, and the passenger will also find a decent amount of space along with reasonable handles. Compared to an Africa Twin, everything here is a bit smaller, narrower, lower, lighter, and of course easier to maneuver. In terms of ergonomics, hardly anything has changed compared to its predecessor, the Honda CB500X, except for the slightly higher seat. Honda has made the biggest update to the cockpit and controls. You now look at a TFT color display and have an illuminated directional pad on the left for operation. There are no riding modes, but at least traction control that can be turned on/off with a separate button. The mobile phone pairing is really great. This is what the RoadSync app is for, which can be set up easily. No, that's not a matter of course. If the smartphone is paired, you can answer phone calls and control the music and, above all, place aero navigation on the display really conveniently. We already know this from the CB650R, which is also new, and works perfectly on both sides and at no extra charge. There is also, almost, nothing to complain about when it comes to the light, full LED including turn signals, ESS emergency brake indicator system and hazard warning lights, all on board. Unfortunately not an automatic turn signal reset, but there is always something. The sound of the Honda NX500 is very tame. At idle speed, the engine can hardly be heard, but even when accelerating, your ears don't exactly fly around your ears. Well, the NX500 is not a show-off motorcycle anyway, so the restrained sound fits the overall impression of the machine. Then we drive off and are happy about extremely accessible handling. The NX is not only light, it also falls playfully and predictably into corners. It drives agile and predictable and, for example, turning on a road is child's play. With this motorcycle, even the most inexperienced beginner will not be overwhelmed and old hands will be happy about so much good manners. The manageable 48 horsepower of the NX500 also fits in with this. You won't exactly be thrown off the bike when accelerating, but it is fast enough as is typical for the A2. We were a bit surprised about the braking performance. The NX has double discs at the front, but it doesn't necessarily brake better than its competitors. Please don't misunderstand, it brakes okay, but you still need some lever pressure to create a strong deceleration. The suspension is very comfortable despite the not even expansive suspension travel, without appearing spongy. It's probably too soft for the Nordschleife, but that's not where it belongs. The suspension is not adjustable except for the spring preload at the rear, but the Showa SFF-BP USG fork in particular really does an impeccable job. By the way, SFF stands for separate fork function, which refers to the separate work of the coil spring and damping in the 2 fork tubes. So nothing cheap, just as nothing at all on the Honda NX500 looks cheaply made except for the non-adjustable and somewhat loveless clutch lever. However, since the necessary clutch force with the fluffy 6-speed gearbox is close to zero anyway, we can live with it. Even the box swing arm made of aluminum is not only light, it also doesn't look cheap. By the way, the cast aluminum wheels are also light, which means that the unsprung masses of the NX500 are about 3 kilos lower than those of the CB500X, and you can actually notice that. At least Tanya had some problems with the wind protection, as she had to struggle with turbulence on her helmet from 100 km/h. Since the windshield is not adjustable, you should check this out during a test drive and if necessary, use another blade. In Dietmar's case, by the way, these problems were not so pronounced, so it's a very individual matter. So what kind of motorcycle is the Honda NX500? Strictly speaking, it is an adventure bike, because crossover bikes have 17-inch front wheels, the Honda has a 19-inch wheel. It comes with Dunlop Trailmax mixed tires that should actually also work off-road. However, the suspension travel is quite narrow at only 135mm. So we'll stick to it. It's an adventure bike, but you can easily ride it on unpaved slopes. As always, Honda gives a 2-year warranty. The service is due once a year or every 12,000 kilometers. Competitors are adventure bikes with a maximum of 48 horsepower, e.g. the KTM 390 Adventure, Benelli TRK 502 or BMW G310 GS. It's amazing that there are so few motorcycles of this type in the A2 class. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, or Triumph, nothing to be seen far and wide. The Honda NX500 is a simple but well-made A2 adventure bike. It convinces with impeccable and mega-easy handling and is therefore a perfect all-rounder for A2 riders and bikers who no longer feel like 250 kilograms plus bullets. With 48 horsepower, you shouldn't expect any performance explosions, but that wouldn't fit the extremely good-natured overall impression of the NX500 at all.
Drei, zwei, eins, Feuer! Drei, zwei, eins, ab geht der Fuchs! Oh, geht doch! 100!